And when I'm back in Indiana, I feel it. Hi, this is Antiseptic, and after 10 years of my life, Stranger Things is finally about to come to an end. Good riddance, am I right? Just kidding, don't get mad, don't get mad. Time to get genuine. Hit the genuine switch. I was a teen when the first season came out, and at that time, that show meant everything to me. The Winona of it all, the incredible writing, at least for the first couple seasons, and of course the impeccable tribute it pays to many classic 80s films. That was a time in my life when I consumed more media from the 1980s than whatever was coming out in 2016, save for maybe like Pokemon Go. And naturally, I thought that I was better than everyone else for that fact alone. And that was no different when Stranger Things came out. I thought that I liked Stranger Things in a more nuanced and interesting way than some of you out there. Loser behavior is what we call that. My affection for this show has waned and waxed as the years have gone by, but actually, factually, when that show premiered and debuted, it rocked my world. It meant a whole lot to me at that time in my life. I went as Joyce for Halloween in 2016, and then 2017, when season 2 was coming out, I hosted a Stranger Things season 2 premiere viewing party. It was that serious to me. So the fact that I was sitting here knowing that in less than a month I will know how this show ends is quite frankly really upsetting to me. So I thought I would just turn the camera on, grieve a little, and I'll just share, my adoration and grievances for this, behemoth of a show that it's become. Spoiler warning, from this point on, everything is fair game. Everything from season 1, episode 1, all the way through season 5, volume 1. If I want to talk about it, I'm gonna do it. I don't care. Additional disclaimer, any affection or disdain brought up for these characters is exactly that, the characters, unless I specifically state otherwise. I felt like I needed to get that out of the way. That being said, let's ride. My expectations for the end. At this point, I have no earthly idea how this show is going to end. Truth be told, I'm not much of a mystery person. I'm compelled by a mystery if I'm reading or watching it, but this one's a little different. It's not quite like an Agatha Christie or a Nancy Drew. This show was originally meant to be a one-off season of a much larger anthology show. So while the Duffers did have a vague roadmap of what the source of the Upside Down was, and maybe entities like the Mind Flayer or Vecna had rough sketches of the antagonists that they would ultimately become, but largely the story wasn't built to have a definitive ending, and certainly not to the scale that is expected to now that the show has blown up in the way that it has this past decade. The Duffers really have so much weight on their shoulders because this show has become such a monoculture phenomenon. Millions of people will be tuning in to see how it ends. So there's so much pressure to have it be shocking and thrilling and satisfying to a wide array of people. I do not envy them. Let's just say that. Not one bit. I have no clue as to how it'll end. The ending that I wanted kind of died 3 seasons ago when they brought in the Russians, but we'll talk about that later. I have no earthly idea if everyone will live or if half the party dies or what. But I do trust that the Duffers will do it in a way that is true to the world and the characters that they've built in it, which at the end of the day, that's what I'm watching for anyway. As a writer and an audience member, I am way more intrigued by characters and their interpersonal dynamics more than the plot, although that is important. I'm one of those schmucks who would have been fine with another half of season 3 where everyone gets into mall and newspaper internship and Scoops Ahoy shenanigans, and then following the Joyce and Hopper courtship more closely. I would have eaten that up. So sue me. I like to see these characters happy. Is that a crime? And it truly is a feat of filmmaking and writing to have me be invested in all these characters. I'm truly gripped at the potential of all of their endings. And although I have no idea what direction anyone's going, there are a few characters whose ending happiness is imperative to me having a good January. I'll say that much. As previously stated, and maybe currently being shown, I don't know, I need to find the photo, I was Joyce for Halloween the year that season 1 came out, due in part to my lifelong admiration to Winona as a performer and the incredibly well-written woman that she was in the first season, and because legally I had to, because Will Byers simply is my son. Oh, the maternal instincts that kicked in when sweet Will gets stolen in season 1. I was inconsolable. I was inconsolable from the jump. Soft-spoken, total nerd with gay allegations at the age of 11. I mean, that is my son! Will? And Noah Schnapp in those early seasons, I mean, child acting doesn't get much better than the show in general, but especially season 1 and 2, Will Byers. I have been very grateful to see his character become more recentered in season 5 thus far, especially given the long-awaited manifestations of his powers. Holy fucking shit, that was crazy. I have a nit to pick about that, but we haven't hit the complaints corner yet. I just think that he is just as important as 11 to the story, and he should have been treated as such throughout the duration of the show. Moving on. The next on my list of comfort characters that nothing bad is allowed to happen to is Steve Harrington. What? Yeah. I know what you're thinking. You and everybody else, get in line. But you don't understand. Ask my mom. Ask my best friend Emily, who watched the entire first season with me for the first time almost 10 years ago. I was a ground zero Steve Harrington defender. I have just found Joe Keery to be such a charming and talented performer over the years, and it's been really interesting to watch him evolve as a performer and watch the Duffers writing for him evolve as well. You can tell that they have a really good time writing him, or maybe I just have a good time watching. That's weird. He is one of those characters who I think benefits from this show initially being kind of open-ended. And, you know, they're just like laying more railroad tracks as they're going along, because everything feels really organic to him. And I think that's due in part because he's not super bound to the plot of the show like a Eleven or a Hopper or a Mike even would be. So I think he has a lot more freedom, and you can feel that in like the dialogue and the interpersonal dynamics that he has with like Jonathan and Robin and Nancy, obviously, and Dustin as well. His relationship with Dustin, I think, is just one of like the best odd couple pairings in like media today. There, I said it. I do foresee him potentially being on the chopping block because of one, he's not a child, and two, everybody fucking loves him. Everybody in the cast of characters, everybody in the audience, you know, if they wanted the finale to be a real tearjerker, it'd be a real slam dunk is all I'm saying. Another character who is absolutely precious to me and I hold so very dearly is, of course, Nancy Wheeler. We were the same age in the show and in real life when the show came out. And so, of course, I related to her the most. Also, I was deluded and I thought that Joe Keery could love me too. So it was perfect. I don't think that Natalia Dyer and the character of Nancy see enough praise, or at least that's what I thought before Volume 5. And they've taken such good care of her, and they've allowed her to evolve in such like an interesting way. Like when the show started, she was such like a scream queen, final girl, very Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street, and now she's like got this like leading lady, like action heroine Ripley vibe going on, and I love that for her. And the scene in the hospital when she says, "Let me just play the clip," gagged me for real. Oh my God. I almost regressed it back into girl boss feminism right then. Oh, it was so good. It was so sweet. A truly standout scene for me for the performance and the character herself was the scene in episode 2 of volume 5, when she is in the hospital and she's washing the hands off of her blood. She's washing the blood off of her hands at the hospital after Karen and Ted have been admitted. And that's just a Hall of Fame moment in the show as far as I'm concerned. Not just like a Nancy moment, but like point blank period, like scene from the show. Like put it up there. Retire her jersey, okay? And a show that relies on flashbacks almost as much as One Piece at this point, I really enjoyed the restraint that the editors didn't show flashbacks when she was like in the sink and, you know, washing her hands. And it's just like such like a loaded moment because like there's so much to her. There's so much blood on her hands at this point. You know, she couldn't have protected Holly. She couldn't have protected Ted and Karen. She couldn't have protected Barb all those years ago. And it's just like so loaded, and you just like get to sit there in that moment with her. And I'm really glad that they included that. It's not quite so overt as some of the other writing has become in the show. I mean, maybe it is. She's quite literally washing blood off of her hands, but I don't know. I just thought it was quite something. I think Nancy is safe though. I think that her heart's going to be broken, and that's going to be as if she died for me. But I think she will make it to the end alive, at least. Blanket statement. I just want to also say I adore all of the child actors in the show, even though they're no longer children. I think that they do incredible work in the show, outside of the show. Gaten Matarazzo, I just like love him on the revival cast recording of Sweeney Todd. He's excellent. But the last people I want to showcase in this section of characters who mean so very much to me are Max and Lucas. I just think that Sadie Sink and Caleb McLaughlin have the juice. They are so unnecessarily good in this show. I love what their relationship has come into. Season 2 is my favorite season, controversial, because of how it centers Will, and also because it's the introduction of Max. And I think Max is a character that I could have never anticipated growing to become as important or as compelling as she has. I do love everything about her trying to escape the dream canyon that she's in. I cried when she was telling Holly about how she, you know, almost got to the other side and the tape fucked up. Thanks, Lucas. And, you know, she didn't get to come back to, you know, the upside right. Is that what it's called? I don't remember. And all that's very good. I don't really care about the canyon environment that she's in. I'm very bored by it, but whatever. What do I know? But so much of what she's doing this season, I think, is quite excellent. And Caleb McLaughlin as well. I think his work last season really impressed me. The scene in the Creel house when Max is dying and he's screaming for Erica, it's just, it's so heartbreaking. And to learn that it was improvised, I'm like, you just get it, kid. You just got it. I'm very intrigued to see, you know, how their storyline wraps up. And I will surely cry at the performances that they give. I need them both to live very badly. I can't imagine them killing Max at this point, since there was already several fake outs of her death, much like Hopper. So I think Hopper's safe too, because if he's not, Okay. We're gonna dip into complaints corner a little bit now. If Max or Hopper die, I just won't really care because they have faked us out with both of their deaths so many times at this point that I'm like, boy who cried wolf. Why do I believe it at this point? You know what I mean? Let's just segue our way to complaints corner anyway. It's no secret, if you know me or if you've been watching this video, to know that I've kind of soured on the show as it's gone along. I don't think that the scope of the show should have expanded outside of Hawkins. The Russian plot can stay. I just wish that we had never gone to Russia. To keep in with the anthology theme, I think it honestly would have been kind of fun if the Russians were just like there for one season and then they eradicated them and they were gone. You know what I mean? And like maybe maybe that wouldn't be interesting, but I don't think that what we have is interesting anyway. So what can we do? Where's the middle ground here? And I feel like everything with Russia has been such a detriment to Hopper's character specifically. I think that the character of Jim Hopper is such a fantastic character, especially in those early seasons. Say it with me. And while the action sequences that he's doing are very in line with like his military background and his, you know, experience in the Russian prison camps, he's scrappy and he's a fighter and sure, but like he's largely unchanged by it all and frankly quite boring. I think that everything that Hopper and Eleven are doing is quite uninteresting. And while maybe it comes down to personal preference, because I don't really care for the military and like the militarized scientist occupation of Hawkins, in the way that it is shown now, I do think that it is owed to us for me to care about what Hopper and Eleven are doing. Oh, I don't know. Is that crazy? Am I way off base with that one? If you talk to me for 2 seconds about Stranger Things, you will know that I want everything to do with the lab to be over. I want it to be done. I am so tired of the Stephen King, the real villain or other people's shtick that's just not done as well. Like that died with Jason last season and Brenner. You know what I mean? The second time Brenner died. I'll take the bullies because I think that Dustin's plot is pretty interesting. So it makes sense that the character of Andy has returned to pick up where Jason left off, much like Dustin is doing for Eddie. Fine. Show us how tensions are rising in the town. Whatever, it's cool. I get it. I can hang. But Dr. K, despite being played by, you know, legendary performer Linda Hamilton, I don't care. 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 I do not care. Whew. That felt good. Yay! Callie's back. Awesome. Should have been sooner. But I'll take it. But I don't have the bandwidth for another older, white-haired, morally dubious doctor. Okay? Like, I've had it. I feel like we are still learning nothing about the Upside Down. We are learning everything about how Eleven and Henry and all these kids were fucking abused, which is, you know, interesting, but we're not learning anything about what's actually happening in the Upside Down. It just feels like so much filler. And I couldn't believe it last season. It was incredibly frustrating to me that Vecna was monologuing about how he went from Henry to Vecna and all this crazy VFX and world building of the Upside Down was happening in one giant pile in front of us that was CGI. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't. At this point, the show has gone in such a way that I could have never foreseen. I don't know what a good alternative could have been. Like, sure, like that was the mystery of the season. Tie a nice bow around it, give it to us, whatever. But give us anything else in terms of information of how the Upside Down functions and corrupts, and it doesn't even need to be a VFX sequence if the argument is that it's too expensive. Have Dr. K explain it to us, whether it's, you know, the characters that we know or some fucking, I don't know, grunt of the military, or have another scientist or Mr. Clark explain it. Missed you, Bookie. I like action movies. I'm cool. I can hang, I promise. But I don't know. I'm so bored. I'm so bored with it, truly. And to piggyback off of that point with the lab, stay with me. I think that Will should have had his powers manifest by the end of season 3. I know. I'm sorry. There is no way that his powers should have been an endgame reveal. Like, am I crazy? Like, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think he's clearly just as integral to the plot as Eleven. So where has that been? Where has all that work been? You know what I mean? Since season 2. Like, he was like, whatever. Let me just make my point, not get worked into a lather. Granted, I think the scene with Will's powers being revealed is badass. Wow, so cool. Noah Schnapp's acting real is going to have that in it for the rest of his career. But like, what if, walk with me, last season could have been Will and Elle being kidnapped by Hawkins' lab, or Brenner, whatever they were fucking called? And what if Will and Elle could have been experimented on together? Think of that character development. Think about how much faster it centered Will again. Elle's powers could still be depleted, and perhaps Will's is either too powerful or needs help controlling, but instead we just get Brenner, Owens, and Eleven, you know, having the same conversation in various lab environments. Like, you could get rid of 87% of Eleven's storyline that last season and it would not have mattered. They just say the same things over and over again. No disrespect to Paul Reiser, Matthew Modine, or Millie Bobby Brown. If anything, I wanted more for you. I also just have such an issue with the fact that we are bringing in so many new characters in this final season. Like, what is the point at, I'll take Robin, I'll take Eddie, bring Argyle back, please. Callie, I'm glad she's back. Why are we bringing in all these new characters to function in roles that our pre-existing characters already can? And why are we still continuing to learn nothing about these characters we've known since the beginning of the show? I don't need the scale of the cast to get any bigger. The stakes are already so high because I'm already so invested in all of them. I just need our cast of characters to kick it into high gear. I mean, Nancy, check. Max, check. Dustin, I know that you're building towards something grand and exciting or upsetting. Check. I can be patient with you. I think we've seen from this last episode that everyone has kind of been jumping up a notch in terms of their power leveling. You know what I mean? I mean, quite substantially with Will, but I was thinking more so characters like Mike, who have kind of taken a back seat. I get so frustrated. I get so worked up about this show, but that's simply because I love it and I want it to be the best version of itself that it can be, which I don't think it really has. I mean, last season there were some really high highs, but I thought it was largely okay. I really truly think that season 2 is my favorite, but I think seasons 1 and 2 are the best. I think that despite, the supernatural elements of it all, I think they're the most grounded. And I think that it's when the characters were the most true to themselves, especially a character like Joyce, and Jonathan even. Oh, I don't even want to talk about where Jonathan's gone. And yes, I really enjoy season 3 and 4. Robin's coming out scene in season 3, also a Hall of Fame scene for the show. So beyond excellent. But it kind of feels like that was the divide of when the show felt like it was, a movie that you have seen from the 80s to a movie that is about the 80s. And I think ultimately why I'm making this video and why I am as reinvested as I am again is because I feel like the Duffers are doing that. I feel like they're going back to their roots. I feel like they're going back to where the show all started. Hopper's a little worse for wear, but Joyce hasn't been this Joycey in a long time. Even Mike is returning to his role as the leader of the party, which I kind of felt like was a position that Dustin had been encroaching on. They know at this point that they have to tie it back to the beginning, and I'm sure I will be back here in a month, wailing and crying about how much I loved it and how satisfying the ending it is. I just needed to work through my grief and my adoration in a public forum. So thank you for letting me do this. And I have all these firm opinions about this mainstream popcorn flick television because, well, I just do. The creator on TikTok, Molly, she kind of said it best. It's cool to shit on Stanger Things during the interlude between seasons, but the month leading up and the month preceding a season, oh, there's nothing quite like it. I am suddenly a teen again in my best friend's living room, and I get to watch the show about, family and found family and, finding a place to belong. And if it's a crime to be compelled by those tropes, cuff me, take me away. But at least wait until December 31st before you do it. Thank you. This video has been edited by Sirloin, and this has been Antiseptic. Thank you for watching.